Tarvaris Johnson or something. And Ja'Cory saw that it was busted and just threw a dime to Travis Benjamin. And look, like Jordan was saying, I think if you got a chance to run it back again with Ja'Cory, and maybe who knows, maybe you put him in the Rhett Lashley offense, I would not be the least bit surprised if he put up even bigger and better numbers than he was when he was forced to work with a Patrick Nix, when he was forced to work with a Mark Whipple, and those coaches just didn't really take into account what are Ja'Cory's strengths. He had a strong arm, had a fantastic deep ball. He wasn't the strongest arm in terms of velocity, but he was a guy that when you spread things out for him and you give him multiple options, I felt like he had the idea to make the right throws. But to his credit, I mean to his detriment, he did throw a lot of interceptions. I remember, the USF game in 2011, he checked in for Stephen Morris, and I think all he needed to do was just drive it down the field and set up for a field goal in the fourth quarter, and he threw an interception.
Yeah.
So that could have potentially won us the game. But I like you said, I don't know if he's a legend, but I definitely think in the last 20 years, he's without question one of the more notable faces of Miami.
Yeah, just my take on that for what it's worth. I mean, I'm not a Miami native, and my perception of the idea of Harris being a Miami legend, I've always assumed, and what you were talking about earlier, Tito, kind of backs that up. I've always assumed that he was more notable in high school than college.
Yeah, 100%.
I at least at the time, Twitter's helped me be a lot more plugged into South Florida high school football now. But back then, I didn't know anything about him until his senior year of high school. And there's never really been anything special about him. I was as hyped as anyone for his sophomore campaign when we, and then going into his junior campaign when we were ranked like 8th in the country preseason. We thought that he was going to be a Heisman finalist. I was all about that. But right as his career was wrapping up, I was really just excited to move on from him.
No, without question. Yeah.
I personally think that it would be a huge reach to call him a Miami legend for what he did with the Hurricanes. If we're talking about, what he did at Northwestern, then, I won't speak on that because I never watched him play high school ball. But,
I got much backlash when I posted that article today. People thought I was out of my mind.
Well, he's legendary in the fact that, the people love him for whatever reason. So
just because of those two games, man, Ja'Cory Heisman hype was real.
Yeah, but
if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, he said he was going to show up to the Heisman Memorial Service with a pimp cup in a pink suit. Isn't that what he said? Yeah, that was great.
Dude, I was drinking that Kool-Aid so hard. I was in like middle school back then, and I was telling my friends like, "Hey, watch out this year." My guy's going to show up with a pimp cup, and then they're like, "Yeah, that didn't go very well for you, bro."
Good deal. Okay, well, Tito, we always love having you on, brother. We need to get you on some more, and hope you're doing well and during this Rona season. And whenever you want to come back on and talk some Canes, maybe talk some Heat, you're welcome, brother.
Appreciate it, guys, as always, man. Thank you for having me. Hope everybody's staying safe as always, and hopefully we can get to watch some Hurricanes this season, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks, Tito.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, guys, man. Appreciate you guys having me on. Y'all have a good one, all right?
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Later.
So, breaking news.
Okay.
Taulia Tagovailoa commits to Maryland.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not pissed. Like, I'm not mad. And
No.
also, apparently, we are about to lose Thad Franklin.
Oh, to where?
He's just decommitting.
Okay. Again?
Yeah. Remember we recorded an episode. I mean, this podcast isn't that long or that old, but we recorded an episode when he recommitted.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not get mad. We have a second guest coming on, and his name is John effing Michaels.
Yeah, he's not quite ready for us yet. So let's we can actually dig into this Thad Franklin thing for a sec. But yeah, dude, I think I'm done with him. Like, even if he flip flops again, like, screw that. You know what I mean? You can only decommit from the Canes twice before I'm completely done with you.
Yeah, what's the kid that went to Nebraska? He decommitted from us like 17 times this past year.
I don't know. Screw that kid, dude. I mean, I know he's like 17 or whatever, but that's just like, you're at that point, you're either just like a douche or you weren't raised very well.
Yeah, it's just not respectful.
No.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, I'm not surprised about Lee at all.
I was kind of buying into the idea of little Tua coming here.
Yeah, I was comfortable with it. Like I said on here that, you know, like I have 100% trust in Lashley. If Lashley wants him, then I'm hyped. You know, like I believe in Rhett Lashley. But I've also been saying on Twitter that, like, I didn't view him as a can't miss prospect. I was very intrigued by his pedigree and, you know, just being Tua's brother and, you know, being a highly sought after recruit. So I was always open to it. I was willing to give him the scholarship, even if it counted against next year. I was all aboard if that was Lashley's decision. But you know, I'm fine with him not committing here. It doesn't bug me.
I mean, I literally spent like 3 hours today, like, researching him and like writing up about him because I did my Marsh's mailbag for State of the U.
Uh-huh.
Like I swear I had like 17 questions.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, I don't know what the hell his name is, but so I literally just wasted 3 hours of my day. So that's dope.
Yeah. Hey, would you mind shooting John a text message? He's not responding to me on here. Or a DM or something. But yeah, dude, it's I don't know, I'm fine with that. And then Aaron McLaughlin committed to NC State. So who knows? I guess what's the kid's name? Demetrius Davis or something?
He's committing somewhere else tomorrow.
Oh, it's not to Miami. It's to Auburn, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our only hope is whatever the Longhorns kid's name is, Jalen Millero or whatever.
Yeah. And then we just offered that kid out of Georgia, but he has a Clemson offer.
Isn't he a 2022 kid?
I thought he was 2021.
I mean, we are just like, we've lost like 9 quarterback prospects within the last 2 weeks. Like, I thought this was the Lashley era.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of something interesting to get into is obviously these high school kids aren't buying into the Lashley era like we are. And who knows what that means? Hopefully nothing.
I mean, it just sounds like, I mean, we just have more Kane in them, you know. We're just more dedicated. They don't know that it's about you.
Yeah, and you know, I doesn't really seem like we're on top of Miller Moss anymore. I don't know if Rhett has contacted Jake Garcia at all. I know that was kind of Dan Enos's thing. But really, I mean, if we can't take a QB this cycle, there's always the transfer portal. But I mean, we have Cozy and Tate. We have Tyler Van Dyke.
And Tate's winning the Heisman next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what position he plays, starting running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback.
Damn it, dude! Like, that was kind of, and especially like the Thad Franklin news. If he because apparently he just deleted all of his Miami stuff on social media.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, how do you decommit from a school like more than once? Like, don't you, like, if you're not sold on it, don't commit.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna call John right now.
Let's do it.
Cool. John, what is up, dude?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
We are welcomed by our boy, John Michaels. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, just enjoying the dream. Just getting back from a little mini vacation down to New Orleans and over to Savannah. Spent some days on the beach, so kind of refreshed and ready to go.
Yeah, dude, that's what's up.
Good deal, man. I mean, I wish we were in a little bit better mood. Tua's little brother just announced he was going to Maryland.
Okay. I'm not, I'll be honest, I'm not mad about that. Um, he had the relationship with Mike Locksley. That was who was part of his recruiting team at Alabama. He's going to get a chance to walk in there and, assuming that he gets a waiver, he could be the day one starter there. If he doesn't get a waiver, he'll sit a year and he'll be a starter there. I think he probably looked at the depth chart at Miami and the recruiting that's going on at Miami and said, maybe I don't want to sit a year and then try to fight with the kid Tyler Van Dyke and see if I can win the job. And then, obviously Manny Diaz is out scouring, trying to find us some new quarterback recruits as we speak. If we land one in 2021, great. If we don't, we do have a couple of kids there in Van Dyke and Peyton Matosha, who, along with Nkosi Perry and Tate Martell, that are going to be fighting for the job anyway. So I'm not hurt too bad by it. I am a little surprised he didn't at least take a visit to Miami and check it out. But, so to speak, we're okay right now at quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there's two topics that I want to get into you with. The first, okay, so ESPN yesterday they were re-showing all of these old Miami FSU games. Obviously, the one that everyone was watching was the 2002. That was my first Canes game ever. I know you said that you were there. Where does the Miami FSU rivalry rank for you in college football?
It's right up there with Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama, Auburn, and Army, Navy. And, nationally, I know people say, well, the game hasn't mattered in 20 years, which, quite frankly, the last game that really had national relevance was probably 2005 at the beginning of the year when they were both highly ranked. I'm actually writing an article. So here's a little sneak preview for something that'll be out this weekend on State of the U. I'm writing an article why Miami needs Florida State and Florida State needs Miami. Both of them, the old saying goes, iron sharpens iron. And when your in-state rival is great and you're aspiring to be great, I think it pushed both those programs to heights that they may not have also gotten to without the other one being really good for a 20-year stretch. But anybody nationally that tries to argue that rivalry isn't every bit as intense and every bit as important as Alabama, Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State, Army, Navy really hasn't been watching college football. Because let's be real, Army, Navy, I know it's for a different reason. Nationally, that game hasn't mattered since our grandparents were serving in the military. I mean, the 40s was the last time that those games as football actually really mattered. There were stretches for Auburn, Alabama that you don't have to go back very far, where either Auburn sucked or Alabama sucked. Yet, if you've ever been in that state, and I'm just one state over, hell, Paul Feinbaum makes $5 million a year getting those yahoos to talk about Auburn and Alabama day in and day out. And Michigan, Ohio State's been a very lopsided rivalry, very streaky. Right now, Ohio State flat out owns old khaki pants in Jim Harbaugh. But there were times where Michigan dominated Ohio State for many years. John Cooper and Earl Bruce, who would win 9-10 games every single year, couldn't beat Michigan, and they kept getting fired for it. And it really took until they got Jim Tressel and obviously Urban Meyer for that rivalry to turn around in the favor of Ohio State. But Miami, Florida State's right there. I mean, you think about from 1983 really to 2002. So that's basically a 20-year stretch. You had what? 7 national championships won by the schools. Miami lost another 3 or 4. Florida State lost another couple. And how many times did Florida State not win a national championship because they lost to Miami by a missed field goal? So you start thinking over a 20-year stretch, there was not a more important rivalry in college football. And I beg anybody that says, hey, this rivalry doesn't matter, show up at Hard Rock Stadium this year if we're allowed to be there. And tell the 65, 70,000 crazed fans there how much that rivalry matters one way or another. It's one of the best. It's put more NFL players in the league just about than anybody. There's been Hall of Famers littered all over it. And again, tell me the next time ESPN throws up USC Notre Dame or one of the Texas Oklahoma on a day right now like they did Miami Florida State yesterday.